Hi, everyone. Welcome to week number 2. So this week we have a couple of things that we want to take care of. The first is we're going to wrap up our conversation on object-oriented development. Basically, we're going to close out the chapter on our OOP refresher object-oriented principles by working on and introducing new concepts into the program that we were introduced to last week. So the goal there, of course, is to just make sure that we're on top of some of the concepts that we're going to sort of be exposed to quite often implicitly, essentially, in Android development. But also, we want to take the opportunity to learn about this new language, Kotlin, in the absence of the Android framework to make things a little more straightforward. Learning a new language at this level is not unheard of, and Kotlin specifically does in fact share a lot of semantic, if not syntactic similarities to Java, but seeing it in action is sort of important for us to familiarize ourselves and to have a better understanding of how we can write programs in Kotlin. So we want to expand on those things by working with this Kotlin Bank program. The next thing that we want to do is we want to sort of transition into Android development. And we are going to do that by looking at first the integrated development environment, or IDE, for Android called Android Studio. So we're going to do a walkthrough there. I am doing a walkthrough using the quote-unquote old user interface or old UI. As of this writing, when you install Android Studio, you might be prompted to use the newer user interface. If you decline, you'll have the old interface. The old interface is what you're going to find for most of the videos in this course, but ultimately it really doesn't matter since pretty much 99.9% of what we do has to do with code that we write, so not so much the interface. So it really doesn't matter one way or another if you choose to enable the new interface for Android Studio. Just know that the location of menu items or how you trigger a specific feature or component in the IDE might be a little different in terms of how it's laid out, but the feature itself is still the same, is still identical. So we're going to have an introduction to Android, or a transition into Android development via the IDE, just so we know where all the major integration points are, some of the things that we're going to rely on as we move into Android development. And we will start with Android development with the basic hello world. We just kind of want to make sure that we can run a basic application. So on your end, you want to make sure that the IDE functions. You want to make sure that you are able to create a virtual device, a mobile device running on your computer that is able to then run the Android applications that you develop. If you have any issues in that regard, please reach out, send an email, and or meet me during office hours, and I can walk you through some of the setup steps to make sure that everything is running the way that it needs to run. For week 2, we have no assignments or quizzes. All of those things will basically kick off in week 3. So next week you can expect to have your first assignment, your first quiz. So you have that to look forward to. And at this point, we just want to make sure that we sort of wrap our brains around some of the very basic concepts that we will need to build on as we learn Android development. So again, please reach out. Let me know if you have any questions, any concerns regarding any of the content we are currently covering or that we have covered in the first week. It's important that we understand every concept as we cover it, because what you will find in Android development is that everything that we cover is sort of built on whatever we covered before. There is very much this linear progression that you're going to have as we go through some of the topics. So just to make sure that no one is left behind, we want to ensure that we have everything under our belts as it's being discussed, as it's being taught, and before we move into any new concepts. So again, let's knock those two things out this week. OOP refresher, and then introduction to the IDE. And by way of the IDE, sort of a soft intro to Android development. And then in week 3, we will have a real dive into Android development, and as well as our first assignment and things of that nature. All right, so good luck, and reach out if you have any questions. All right, thank you.